Well, g'day everybody and welcome back to the Hardball Gets AFL show. This podcast is proudly brought to you by the Mazda BT50. You do ute. Today on the show, it's the 2-minute warning out of round 22. If you haven't subscribed, wherever you listen to your podcast, please do that. Leave us a rating and leave us a review. And if you've got a good local sporting highlight, make sure you get it into the BHP Screamer competition where you can win $5,000 and an additional $1,000 to your local club. Go to BHP, we love BHP, but go to streamer.com.au/screamer to get your entries in. All right, let's get stuck in. This is the Hardball Gets AFL show. My name's Nick Rynne. Joined by Ryan Daniels and Chris Robinson today. How are we going?
Hey, guys.
Happy to be here. No Xavier Ellis, so the room's nice and comfy and happy, and there's no one shooting
shots. Grumpy. He's generally grumpy.
He's so grumpy.
Sometimes.
He just comes in here whinging about something or other. Oh, could we hurry up and get this over with?
Some days he comes in bearing gifts of like a chicken strip or something, and then other days he's a real grump.
Yeah.
Something's gone wrong in
He's
his life.
happiest when he hits the cafe first.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you finding a correlation between food
Hitting the
intake
cafe.
and happiness levels?
Yeah.
It does get up very early. I don't breakfast radio hours. I don't know how you do it any long period of time.
Horrible. I reckon it would change you, and it's changed him. Now, speaking of our great friend who can't be here today because he's so busy.
This is often when you save your best material for him.
Yeah.
For days when he can't be here
when
to
he
do
can't
He's
be
anything.
so flat out that he just could not get here, right? Now, he's posting constantly today about his new car.
Yeah, which is it's a poor man's Mazda BT50.
Correct. And
Which we won't mention by name.
he's constantly making posts about this car. Now, my question is, did he ditch us
To pick it up,
to go and pick up this car?
he's just cruising.
Because that would seem like what's happened. And the other part of this too is I think his focus has shifted. You notice the posts lately about the rashies?
Oh, I have noticed
you
a
seen
couple
that?
of it. Is Footy Nuts is the name of the
Footy nuts. And I don't reckon this is a paid thing. I think there's more to this.
I think there's more to
What do you mean you
this.
don't think it's a paid thing?
I don't think this is a, hey, can you plug our rashies?
Oh, you think
No,
he's
no,
behind
no,
it?
no.
I think he is the rashies. I think our influencer friend has gone next level. Now,
His own merch.
because this is the final level for influencer. There's the level
Yeah.
that you get in where they suddenly, someone will send you some movie tickets. That's the lowest level, right? Oh, great, I'll get some movie
Then
tickets.
you have to have your own commerce program.
Then you start, getting the odd product placement thing.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly you're at bigger events. The last frontier for any influencer, your own products,
Makeup, hoodies,
Whatever.
something.
whatever. And that's where our man Xavier Ellis is at now. He is
AFL
at the
licensed
point
ratios.
where he is licensing his own property. It's unbelievable.
And all the while removing more and more clothes, which we saw in the shirtless pic of him with the car
he just,
yesterday.
he wasn't sure of the context
Yeah.
around that one. It was
Yeah.
just
Just giving the people what they want.
Giving the people what they want.
Yeah, he likes to get the shirt off.
Now we have. This was a long-awaited order because saying that he skipped out. You skipped out on us last week.
Yeah, I did. Very
Too many
busy.
retirements.
Mate,
or what's going on?
if-
Oh, that's right. You went to see Luke Shuey retire and you missed the exclusive
I heard that.
on the podcast.
That was a good get. Yeah,
Mate,
good
this
get.
This is where all the big news breaks.
I tell you, the Eagles need to stop retiring on Mondays and Tuesdays because
It's been a heavy few
Yeah.
weeks.
well, it's been a busy for
but
me.
you know what? If
Selfishly,
you-
if they could just do it all at once,
a
it'd be
Monday
great.
retirement
Mondays
of a
off.
club legend releases the pressure on other parts of the business that would otherwise be consumed in that Monday time slot.
Well, I think in yesterday's case, it was a convenient coincidence.
Yeah, it's generally like you're going to announce it. It's just someone's announcing it's like, well, this is when we'll do it because then,
Yeah.
particularly after, it was convenient.
Yeah, that's true. It was convenient, that's for sure. You mentioned that we've got an order, and this is from Adam Thompson. It's a great order.
Tomo.
So it's not bound by
So this is
round to round.
Came through a few weeks
This
ago.
came
and
through
how it
weeks
could
ago,
help.
and Tomo has sent it in, and I love the order.
Oh,
It's
so
right up
so
my
this is
alley.
an order that could apply at any point this season.
Yeah, it could change soon,
Oh, okay.
but at any other point this season, it would have been correct.
Oh, okay. There's
It
a
could
cryptic
change
clue.
post-season is the hint I will give you.
Post home and away season or
Post home and away season, it could change, but for
Oh,
now,
post.
something
Grand final?
finals related.
well, hold on. So it'll be, the order could change post home and away season.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
So we'll get through the order and then you'll reveal.
I'll reveal it at the end
at
because
the
I think
end.
that's a better way to do it.
Yeah,
I think that's a better way to do
Great.
it. Are we ready to jump in?
Let's
You got
do
anything
it.
else to cover? I got to be quick because I got to get to the Matildas.
Oh, yeah, you're flying to Sydney. Look at you.
Flying
Do
to the
2 minute,
Matildas.
2 minute cross.
The 2
down
minute.
and
Yeah, can you
watch
just
the game.
recap for those of us who weren't in the room
Okay.
when you were talking
Well,
about it off air?
I got an email yesterday from my boss, Ray, and he said, "Hey, I want you to read the news from the Matildas game." I don't think I've ever replied to an email faster. Sure, no problem.
Be there.
And so I'm flying over tomorrow morning, head over to the Sofitel.
Oh, my God.
I will get a car driven to the stadium. I will walk onto the turf. I will read the news, which will take me all of 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I will then watch the game, maybe have a beer or two, and get a plane back on the
The
Thursday
sound
morning.
you hear is collectively everyone listening to this spewing up wherever they are. Absolutely spewing up.
Losing
Yeah.
more and more touch with the common man.
Every
I know, it
now
really
and then.
has, hasn't it?
Every week that goes by.
Every now and then.
I remember when we used to compare the shitbox hotels that we'd be put up in, and now he's just
Were
rolling
you,
into
were you,
the...
you would have been at the one in Northern. Remember when we went to Northern?
Oh, yeah.
It was
'cause-
like a Dockers. Was it a Dockers or an Eagles
No,
camp?
Northern, I think that was the first... So that was... We got there, and then the Essendon drug news broke.
Was that then?
And we had to find... Because no one was going to stay in Northern.
Yes.
But then we all had to find, like, last-minute
Correct. That's
accommodation in
exactly what
Northern.
happened. So
Northern
we,
doesn't have a Sofitel?
No, he didn't
no,
have
no
a
Sofitel in
That's
Northern.
surprising.
So we all went, and you're right, because it was a 2-day camp.
Yeah, but it was
because
just
it's only
like-
Northern, right? It's only, what, like an hour and a bit?
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, you go down for the day, you shoot whatever clinic stuff they got going on.
Sure.
But then when we got down there, we figured out that Channel 9 was staying. I remember this. And it was like,
Everybody else.
hold on a minute. They're staying.
Because there was a dinner that night, like
yeah,
a
there was a
sportsman.
sportsman. Yeah, so you could have stayed. So then I rang our boss and, there's no accommodation. But then Schmooky, Nathan Schmook from AFL.com, he said, I've got 2 beds.
Oh, so you bunked in with Schmooky.
So we're in this dingy dive of a backpacker sort of vibe in Northern. Schmooky on one bed, me on the other. That was the night I realised that Nick Rynne had that superb talent that he has, where he can make a beer disappear
Oh,
in
see, that's a long
Certainly
time
can.
1
ago.
second.
I was actually sent, and I'll share it
Certainly
around.
can. And then you just see the glaze in his eyes.
We made
minutes
him do
later.
it 3 times. He drank 3 pints in about 15
it's
seconds.
a long time behind me.
That was it for him.
It was like I sent a reel about Mike Tyson talking about the old him and how he's not that person anymore, but sometimes he misses him, and I felt the same way. I'm not that person anymore, but sometimes I miss him.
Nick the Tank. He was Nick the Tank.
That was I remember, and then at the pub that night, some blokes came in with some West Coast merch, closely followed by the police.
They had
pinched it
stolen
from
the
a sportsman's
merchandise
night.
from the sportsman's night in Northern.
Great times, great
Good
times.
times,
All right,
good
who we got
times.
first up?
Okay, we are on the GWS Giants.
Oh, that's me. The GWS Giants are the first.
They're
Is
first
this
on the
ascending
list.
Or descending?
Okay.
Oh, it's just, I was
Interesting.
about ready to skip them. There's sort of no shame in the loss of the weekend away to Port and Jason Horn-Francis going bananas. Equal on points with Western Bulldogs, Essendon. Have Essendon and Carlton to play. What's your this is my one where I genuinely didn't have anything and I
What's
do
the
the gut
vibe?
feel. What's the vibe?
What's
Are
the
they gonna
gut
no? But
feel?
I had a missing when I did my little ladder predictor.
Yeah, I think they probably missed. I think they beat Essendon. I think
Yes.
that's at their home
then
ground.
yeah,
is that in Canberra or is it in Sydney? Where is it?
I'm not sure. I just had the
Okay, good work
team
by you.
names, not the. Yeah,
Yep.
it's great depth of research here.
Okay.
And then they got Carlton in the last round, which
It's at Giants Stadium. I'd give them that one, and then the Carlton one could be fascinating.
Mm.
I love that that's the last game.
So that's the last game
the
of the
very,
round.
the very,
The
very
last
last
game.
game.
That's
yeah.
good.
The
Yep.
Sunday night
Yep.
twilight sort of game.
That'll work. Well, that
Yeah.
didn't work out well for Carlton last year, did it?
No, it didn't.
It didn't.
Carlton will be a little bit more sure by then, I would have thought.
But that game could also be Carlton might have 5th just locked away, regardless of result, and it means more to the Giants than Carlton.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
It could be one of those ones.
it could be.
4
Yeah,
or 5 weeks ago, I tell you, Carlton.
We'll get to
fifth and a
Carlton.
chance at the top 4.
we'll get to Carlton.
Unbelievable.
But yeah,
But so next year is this GWS? They're a top 8 side next year.
I think so. I think they're around the mark. I
think
think
so.
what we've seen this year is that start of the year looked like a bit of this is going to go south.
Yeah, then they
pretty
kind
quick.
of figured it out, right?
They turned the team over to the right people. Like I think Tom Green's got a massive role this year, and Kelly's been really, really good.
Canelio in position.
Canelio's in position.
Briggs in the
Cadman's-
ruck.
They've played Cadman the
You want
right
Sam
amount.
Taylor for a
He's had taste.
whole year. Yeah, Cam kicked 7 or 8 in the 2s on the weekend.
Yeah, so I think he's had the perfect year for a young key position player. Got some experience, played a fair bit of VFL. They haven't pushed him too far, but they've given him tastes. I think that's the right amount. So I'm bullish again on the Giants.
We are every year.
Yeah.
But I think next year it's just about there.
Okay, let's have a look at this wonderful list. It is time for North Melbourne. So we had GWS, then North Melbourne. If anyone, and I'm sure no one is, but if anyone is selling shares in George Wardlaw, I'm buying all of them. This kid could be top 10, top 5 midfielder in the comp within 3 or 4 years.
Grunt tricks.
He's
I love
real hard, isn't he? He's real tough.
And here's your big prediction. He's going to be a better player than Sheasel. I mean, Sheasel's great, but Wardlaw, he's the guy.
They complement each other, right?
He'll be the captain of that football club. He's so tough.
Yeah, Wardlaw's
He's
your in
smart.
and under. Sheasel's your class.
He looks to me like their Sarong. You know what I mean? Like this little hard bastard who's in there. He's going to win the hard ball. He's going to do the right thing. He'll lay a tackle at least once a game where the whole crowd just stands up and claps.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yeah, that's what we need. And when you're that club who's been down the bottom for so long,
more
they've
than
been starving.
any other club. they
Yes,
need that.
correct.
Yeah.
And
he feels-
we've seen that with West Coast a couple of times this year at home games where someone's done something that they've gone, oh, finally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when Hewitt's done something, and it's kind of like,
Correct.
oh, yes,
And
where's
that's
that been?
the green shoot. And Wardlaw has well and truly, I've got him circled. Just quickly, Ben Cunnington, tip of the cap, fantastic career. Hard.
Lots to see. End of an era across the board. with
Yeah.
some of these names. And it's happened, I think, the last couple of years. And this is a continuation of that.
Yeah, and Jack Siebel playing his last game this weekend. Fantastic player. In his absolute best, he was almost unstoppable when he had a handful of games there where he was
Unstoppable?
unstoppable.
Maybe
Maybe
a
which
tiny
line
bit
he
over.
No,
talking
he
about?
was.
In the
I
A
mean,
mid?
tiny bit over.
I can pull out some games where he had huge numbers and was just he could not be stopped.
Were they relevant at the
Unstoppable.
time?
Well, semi.
Semi.
What was with the Jack Siebel shade?
No, I just wouldn't like. He's been a very
I
good
think Unstoppable
player.
was probably just adding a time.
Was he
you
all
guys go
Australian
about
at
your
any point?
business. I'm going to look to see Jack Siebel's
Was Jack
best
Siebel all
game.
Australian at any point? See if that comes up there too.
Don't think so.
I
I
reckon
don't feel
he
like
was.
no shame in Jack Siebel. He's a great player.
Can I extend, please?
Are we extending for North
We're
Melbourne?
extending North
Okay,
Melbourne.
This is the first time we've ever extended on North Melbourne.
I think
Okay,
so.
how many times do you reckon he's gone 35 plus?
Oh, he would have got 35 plus, but I don't.
5 times. He had 41 once. He kicked
Only
5
5
goals
times
in a
across his
game
career.
3 times.
Is that right? Okay,
Yes,
that'd be more
he
than I would have
did.
thought.
Exactly. I
But was
think
he all Australian? at
the
any point?
shade. Let me just see where these 5-goal games are. This is a good extension. I'm glad we used it.
He's
He
a
had
great club man. Like I
So
would say, you hold him in high
2013,
regard.
2013, they beat the Pies. He had 27-4 and got the 3 Brownlow votes. That would say that he's quite unstoppable in my book.
Are you just talking about like moments rather than
Another
seasons
3
here?
Brownlow votes in a win against Adelaide, 25-4. Thank you very much. And let me just find one of these 5
Yeah, you're like
goal
picking
games.
out individual games here. Like, I thought you were talking about like
Again
over a
against
Yeah,
the
a lot of
Pies,
scrolling there.
22-5 in a losing side. He still polled Brownlow votes. Look, I get it. He was inconsistent. You know, he never really
never
put it
all
together for a
Australian.
full
Good
season.
player, yeah, good
But at his best, he was unstoppable.
player. Okay, we'll let you have it.
in those 3 games. It definitely was.
The shade. The unnecessary shade. Okay, let's have a look here and see who's next on this magic list. The Western Bulldogs are 3rd on this list. Robbo, the stats man, is close to figuring this out, I
So
reckon. I can
Giants,
see-
Roos, Dogs.
Yeah, I fear I've got it. I reckon I'm
Well, whenever you get it, just shout it out, and I'll tell you if you're right.
something to do with prelims.
Okay, no. So they'll lose Libba for this week. That doesn't really matter because they're playing the West Coast Eagles. No offence, but a little bit. The job that Hawthorn did in that second half was super impressive. And that's why I brought up Libba, because obviously Libba went off and things got a little bit weird for the Bulldogs.
He's been equally their best player, or
Yeah, him and Bond
number
have
2.
been charging,
Probably
leading the way.
Yeah,
English,
different
as well.
Jack
yeah.
McRae had 16 touches for the game. He was used in a really weird way, again, by Bevo. Hopefully this week he gets a bit more of a
I'm
role.
sure he will. First time he hasn't had 20 plus in 70 games.
Is that right?
Is that?
McRae.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Because
The
I
streak.
brought
That
him in.
ended his streak.
The streak.
Because I brought him in fantasy.
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
he would
totally.
come
Well
good.
done to you.
Totally.
And the other thing to point was 2 other things. So Bailey Dale and Caleb Daniel, how many touches combined do you think they had?
Bailey Dale and Caleb Daniel.
Yeah.
Low 30s?
Yeah, 31.
Yeah.
And that's low for them. Like these
totally.
guys, if they get the ball 25 plus, the Bulldogs are usually winning
See,
games.
this is what happens when, like, earlier in the season, wasn't Caleb Daniel was going into the midfield and it started to
Yeah.
look good, and then just things change again. Like, They do that to the dogs. Like, what
Wildly
about this?
Like
Consistent.
Tim
we'll
English,
change it
like
now.
Tim English taking a kick
Take a
in with
kick
40
out.
odd
What
seconds
was
left,
with
Yeah.
that?
and then
'Cause
just running everywhere.
But I'm looking at it going, isn't he the bloke you want to be kicking
Yeah.
to?
Did you see the
Gosh.
one where they put the Rodney Eade, Will Minson audio over the top of it?
Oh, no.
And just quickly, shout out to Blake Hardwick. Fantastic job on Cody Waitman.
Mm.
He wore him like a new sweater.
John
Uh,
Newcomb, fantastic job.
Yeah, it
on
wasn't a
Cody
great
Waitman.
Waitman day, was it?
It wasn't
Five
a great day
touches
to be
for
Waitman.
Five
Just
touches
bouncing off the
for
tackle.
Waitman.
Mm.
And apparently, the Hawks tweeted this, I think, that the last 3 times they've played, he shut him down.
He's a bunny.
He's his bunny.
Okay.
So, interesting. Keep an eye on
Take
that
it.
one next time they play because they're two hotheads. Me, I don't like doing the
I've
list.
told you, see, you guys shit on me for years.
Okay.
It's a big responsibility.
That's one of the reasons. The Gold Coast Suns.
Okay, so that's me. Abandoning the Tuke Miller tag at halftime. So Tuke Miller was shutting down Errol Goulden, doing a great job.
Yes.
Suns had I think it was a 2-point lead at halftime. It was sort of 16 just before halftime. It got nudged back to 2. And then they abandoned it in the second half. And Goulden started doing what Goulden does.
Yep.
And the game got away from Gold Coast. What possible reason would they have for doing that?
Coaches tend to say with the tags, at some point they like to release them because I think they just think they're too defensive and they want to put themselves in a position to win
Sure.
the game. Now, I know you're saying they were up.
If they already had
they
a
were
lead.
winning, right? And you could argue that if Errol didn't get off the chain, maybe somebody else would have, if they'd kept up that tag, maybe Parker destroys them or Mills destroys them or Warner destroys them or whatever. But it is puzzling.
Very puzzling.
Like if it's working, just keep going with it, right?
Yeah.
And they lose that game basically from the moment that they make that switch.
Pretty much, yeah. So
Do you reckon he got news? When did the news break of the Italian trip to get Damien Hardwick? Stephen King's just
way
going,
before that.
well, stuff it. Half time.
The tag's off.
Tags off. Do whatever.
Take the
Get
tag
the
off.
footy. Have a go.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Interesting that Tuke's now become
Tagger.
tagger.
Two-way Tuke.
Is he better than that? Is he wasted as a tagger?
Well, I think we've talked a lot on this podcast about if they're going to go forward, they need to transition this team
Yeah.
over to the Matt Rouse, Bailey Humphreys,
Sure.
Noah Andersons. These are the guys, even Flanders. Like these are the guys who have to take them forward. Tuke
Yeah, how's
can't be their
Flanders?
best player
Flanders
anymore.
has had a really good,
Really good
Yeah.
5 or
stretch,
6 weeks. Yeah,
They can't have Tuke being their main guy anymore.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is what they're going to do with him. They're going to turn him into this.
And there are some games where it's it was effective on the weekend while it was on.
Yeah.
And the game against
Lockie Neal.
was
Yep.
unbelievable.
totally.
I didn't think they'd tag Errol. I just didn't think he was I thought they'd go to a Parker or a Mills. We haven't seen anyone tag
Well,
Errol
doesn't
before.
it? Feels like I've seen St Kilda. It feels like a Ross move. Ross used to pick the right people to tag.
Yeah.
And Errol's the right person because he's out. Like he's
The
so
ones who can
effective
destroy
outside.
You don't want him
Yeah.
kicking the ball inside 50.
Yep.
Okay, Carlton are next on this list. That is me. Quick shout out to Brody Kemp. Pick 17 in 2019.
Did his ACL?
Yeah, and
in
they've
his
had a
draft
few
year, was it?
guys who they've picked fairly high that just haven't come on. And we talk about all their number one picks like the Wiederings and the Walshes and these guys. And Cripps was a fairly high pick that are great. But they've also had Sam Philp hasn't come on. Sam Philp.
Oh, yeah.
Went to school with a guy
doesn't
named
have
Sam
enough
Philp, so it
consonants.
always confuses me. Sam Philip. And then
Paddy Dow.
Paddy Dow. There was Paddy, and
Mm.
then Kemp. And so that it's not like they always nail these
Yeah, I
high
know.
picks. But shout out to he has absolutely made a name for himself this year. He's been
Mm.
really consistent, good form in the VFL before coming in, and really carved out a little space for himself there. But I wanted to talk about Nick Newman, who has emerged in this little patch where they've had a few stars out,
Yeah, what
and
the
they've had
hell has
second-tier
gone on there?
guys stepping up. Bizarre. So the last 2 weeks alone, he had 35 disposals with 26 kicks, mind you, and 13 marks. And in the game before that, 33 disposals with 9 marks. 27 of those 33 disposals were kicks. And he's lethal by foot, former Sydney Swan. So just a little tip of the cap there to Nick
Bizarre.
Newman.
'Cause what do
Career
you
best
do?
form.
Like, you got to bring these people back, right? It's hard to leave.
Yeah.
If they're coming back, you got to put them in. But who do you drop out? Like,
Well,
you-
already this week, they're
and like
bringing
the
Mackay
keys.
back, and you're like, oh, what's going
Just
to happen
done.
here?
just trade him this week.
Just trade Aaron
Trade
Mackay.
him. Yeah. But no, this is it. It's so bizarre because it seemed to come out of nowhere, and it's not because their stars have gone to another level. It's because that second tier have stepped up and taken the reins of like the big jobs.
It's
and done
addition
it well.
by subtraction.
Yeah.
You're taking some stuff off the table, and then other guys are lifting,
Yeah.
and they're getting a bit more responsibility.
So how they balance that going into finals is the question. And whether this is a whole mindset shift and the guys will come back and slot in seamlessly,
Yep.
or whether it'll cause some consternation and some guys
Because they're all
are
coming
in form
back,
will
right?
step back.
So Mackay's back this week. Walsh and Chera are due back pretty soon.
Can I raise my hand? I think I've figured out the order.
Oh, shoot.
Can
There you
I have a crack
Have
at
a
it?
crack.
Am I going to ruin it for the listeners? Should I
No,
hold it for a
have a
bit?
ping.
Is it the most recent teams to have the number 1 draft pick?
It is.
Yeah, bang, bang, bang.
Oh, true. Cadman, Horn Francis,
JHF.
Yep.
Bugle Hagen,
Yep.
Matt Rowell,
Yep.
Whoever Carlton wasted it
Sam
on.
Walsh.
Sam
Oh,
Walsh.
yeah, Walsh, that's fine. I'll
And
allow
then
that.
from then on, it's going to continue. Well,
Good
I
one.
knew Robbo would get it.
Good one from,
if anyone's going to
what's our mate called? Tomo?
Yeah, Tomo. Yep, Adam
T-Dog.
Thompson.
Tomo. Well done, Tomo. Thanks
I
for
loved
listening.
It. It's one of my favourite.
Yeah,
Where are we
great.
going? What's next?
The Brisbane Lions. We should get Robbo.
Cam Rayner.
We should get Robbo to try to actually get it from here.
I do the order.
That's the real test.
What do you mean?
You got to read the rest of the
You
order.
need to know the rest
From
Oh,
of
off
the
the top of my head. God. No.
Cam
anyone
Rayner.
can do it.
We'll just do Carlton
okay.
over and over
Here's a
again in
question.
the early 2000s,
Here's a question.
mid-2000s.
On the Brisbane Lions, who are currently second,
Could finish.
Clinging to second.
Clinging
Yeah.
to
They
second,
could finish
yeah.
worst.
who is a guaranteed All-Australian on that team? Guaranteed. Not, they make the squad. Like, I'm telling, they walk into the final meeting, they get a black marker. Whose name are they
That's a good
writing
point.
in?
No one.
No one.
Yeah,
No,
that's a
I
good
don't
point.
think there's anyone.
Isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
So they've kind of gotten through this season without any outstanding individual performances.
Mm.
Everyone's kind of just going. We've talked about this a bunch of times.
And there's been some patches. Neil had a good
Yeah.
patch.
Everyone's
Dunkley
going
had a
well.
good patch.
Everyone's had patches.
Andrews had
Andrews
a good
had a
patch.
patch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Starcevich has had another good year,
Charlie
but no one's
Cameron had a
talking
good
about him. And we
patch.
know with back pockets you need to be in the narrative needs to
Sure.
be spinning. Charlie's had a good patch, but no one's had the whole season. I don't think
Yeah.
they're going to have an All-Australian, and if they do, it's
They'll
going
do
to
it
be
in
the
the
whole
squad.
"Oh,
The
guys,
squad will
we better
be-
have a Brisbane Lion because
The
they're second.
The squad will be Lockie. Maybe even how many Joe Danaher kicked on the year?
He won't be in the team.
I don't know. He's had
So-
enough
But
moments.
you're talking squad,
No, I'm
though,
talking
for
squad.
Joe.
So this
He'll be
would
in the
be
squad.
Potentially.
for
And
any
Harris
of our
Andrews will be in the
listeners,
squad.
and Robbo, you might be able to figure this out as well. Has anyone ever won the flag without an All-Australian?
Whoa.
It wouldn't have happened too many times.
The
I wouldn't
Western
have thought
Bulldogs
so.
have any in 2016?
I don't know.
That
That's
would
a good
be
question.
probably the
That
closest.
would be your first guess.
Which
I
is why
wouldn't have thought that's happened.
So,
It wouldn't
so
happen too many times.
based on this
I wouldn't have thought so.
conversation, we can almost guarantee that Harris Andrews will be an All-Australian.
Well, this is as I say, in the meeting,
Well, they need to win the
someone will
flag
raise their
first.
hand and say,
No, but like they'll get if a team finishes second or first, and they come to this last meeting, they're like, "Oh, guys,
We
don't
better have a
any
line.
Lions.
we better
Yeah.
have
Harris
a line.
Andrews is the closest."
If they're doing the whole, it's Harris Andrews versus this guy, but
Yeah,
this
reward the
guy is
team's
going to be
success.
Sam Taylor
Yeah.
Yeah, but he could be
or
the.
Darcy Moore.
Yeah.
Oh, he beats Darcy Moore. Controversial.
He beats Darcy
He beats
Moore.
Darcy Moore. To the
Harris
final.
Andrews.
Well, Darcy Moore might get the nod over him because they might finish top
Well, there you go.
if they're splitting those two.
And there's Sam Taylor, who is the best fullback in the
Yeah, that's
competition.
going to be a
is the
really
best
that's
one.
going to be a really interesting
Thank
watch.
you. That was a good point by me.
Who's next? Robbo?
Well done, Ryan.
Better than Jay Z being unstoppable, but that's yeah.
Yeah.
I stand by my man. It also might be because I've got a preliminary final.
What,
this
do you wanna-
weekend
do you wanna
and a
advance
grand
it? Oh,
final
I
this
can't even
week.
talk
We've
about
actually got a
fantasy footy,
robot now to
honestly.
back up our points.
I need
Should we
Jetson.
hit the button on one of them?
Okay.
It's not plugged in.
So after this, who would be next?
A robot's running
After the
out of batteries.
Brisbane
Who's after the
Lions,
Brisbane
who
Lions?
would be
Who had a
next?
pick before
Oh
Brisbane?
God,
It was the year before.
Yeah, thanks.
the
Well,
year
no, because
before
some of them
Brisbane?
aren't. Some of them there's bigger jumps, obviously, because other teams have doubled up.
Oh, yeah, true.
This hasn't started their 2 minutes, by the
Who
way.
was the year before?
Gosh, I don't
Brisbane?
know. Tell me.
It's Essendon.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
McGrath.
Yeah, okay.
Andrew McGrath.
Essendon is me.
I was about to say Ash McGrath.
Yeah, I
as
did
well.
say Ash
Yeah.
McGrath.
So we're all waiting to see something from Essendon these past 2 weeks where they had West Coast and North and everyone was saying, hey, they can make a run to the finals here and they've sort of squeaked home in both of
Just
them.
got there.
So they're sitting 9th. So they're sitting literally one game out of the 8.
Yeah.
But looking at our friends,
GWS and who?
they've got GWS and Collingwood.
Oof.
The bookies have them as a $10 chance to make the 8.
They're not making it.
So they're sitting 9th and they're paying $10
They're
to
not.
make the
They're
8.
just not. They're not. I can't see how they get in.
They are going like an absolute busted right now.
Yeah.
One out of Xavier Ellis's don't overthink it, just play them in the right position files. Nick Martin, going back to the wing this
Yeah.
week, they kind of dabble with him forward.
Yep.
Had 32 and 3 goals, just reminding
Can
everybody.
play wing.
Yeah, just stick him on the wing
It's
and
just-
just watch him go to work.
There's this just all right Subiaco league player who's just become a superstar at AFL level out of nowhere.
Yeah,
It's amazing, isn't it?
yeah, crazy. But they're seems like a bit of a wasted opportunity for Essendon.
So with our bet from the start of the year,
Oh yeah, who had Essendon?
I still have not heard the audio.
we will get it for
How
you.
has this audio not been dug up yet?
It has. He just doesn't listen back to the
hasn't played.
podcast. You know
I've
how like
never
they
heard
say
it.
the great
Nick's found it.
You know they
and
say
then
the
gone
great
back and-
quarterbacks, like Tom Brady, will go and watch that game tape
I'm Johnny
every week.
Football, Johnny Football,
Watch it
yeah,
tape.
it's no
Nick
minutes.
doesn't do that.
No,
he
I do if
doesn't,
I got a long drive.
doesn't go back. Well, why don't you listen to it
I
on your
think-
long
Ryan,
drive, mate?
I think
No,
he's
I
done
said
the
if I
opposite.
have a long drive.
I think Rinny's gone back. He's found the moment. He's gone into the archives. He's erased that little patch.
Maybe.
Doesn't exist.
He's pretended that it doesn't exist,
So-
and no one will ever be able to find it if they go back and
So
listen.
for those who are listening for the first time, welcome. But we made a bet at the start of the year after 3 teams were 2-0. St Kilda, North Melbourne, Essendon. I had St Kilda. Zave had Essendon. You had North Melbourne. The bet
This
was
is not.
whoever's team makes the finals or
Fake
actually
news.
stays in the finals race, the other 2 have to buy them a carton. If 2 teams make it, that person who misses out buys 2 cartons. And Nick is looking shaky. I'm looking pretty good with
So
St
North
Kilda.
Melbourne
This is
looking
fake news.
somewhat unlikely at this point.
I reckon
Unlikely.
You're a very long shot. Have they won a game since then?
Uh,
No, they've only
No,
won 2
they
games.
started 2-0.
Yeah, but see, we didn't know.
Okay, so Essendon.
I was assuming Alistair Clarkson coaches on it.
after,
You know.
yeah, after Essendon,
I wasn't backing in Brett Ratton's ruse.
we've got another team. That's not straight away. Goes back quite a bit actually, 2 years.
I
Richmond?
reckon it
Good on
is
Tigers.
It is St Kilda,
St Kilda.
Gosh.
2014.
Okay. St Kilda is me as
Who
well.
was St Kilda's number 1 pick?
Good question.
2014.
McCartan.
Paddy
Paddy
McCartan.
McCartan.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah,
retiring
Just
this
retired,
week.
yeah.
Okay, St Kilda.
St Kilda is me. So Rowan Marshall
Well, pick 2 is Petrarca. That's
might have just realised that Max Gawn was just making a little nudge, a little push at All-Australian, getting that second berth behind Tim English and just went, jump on my back, boys.
So you got Romo in the
With
backup
English?
ruck spot.
I think so.
No, 1 ruck this year.
You think it's just
It's a
one?
one ruck year.
Yeah, I think it's a 1 ruck year.
Marshall's been pretty good.
He has, but,
But
I
he can be
there-
like
there'll
ruck
be-
forward, though.
They've got to squeeze enough people in that. 2
Gawn
rucks
was
aren't
heading for it.
making
You were right. Because Gawn's, I'll talk about narrative with the All-Australian, it matters. Because he's got the runs on the board. If he
He
kept
does.
going, if Grundy hadn't come back and he just kept going, Gawn would have got into the second ruck spot.
And
But
recency bias
I
as
do
well,
agree
yeah.
with you that with Marshall, they probably won't force it.
No.
Oh, we could get another midfielder in here.
Yeah,
Like,
we could get some. There's,
we haven't
there's a
got
long
Lockie
list of
Neal because we
mids.
need a line.
So even though they've gone
Yes.
2 rucks for the
Oscar
past
McInerney for
whatever,
the 2 rucks.
you think they're going to reflect the way that the game's shifting a little bit? That's going to be interesting to watch as well.
I think
Australia.
I think this is going to be a controversial call, but if the second ruck is a Saint, like if it's not a Collingwood or a Carlton ruckman, it's a St Kilda
Which it
ruckman
won't
is
be.
easier to leave out
Which it won't be. Yeah.
than picking a second ruck.
Well, yeah, they might make the finals, mate.
I know, but it's
Can't
just
the beer. Thank you very much.
surely not.
That's
but
gonna
no,
be
I
interesting.
think it's going to be easier to leave out, probably partially
Marshall?
because he's a St Kilda player.
Yeah, okay.
Is Nick Rewald on the panel?
Probably.
And then he gets in.
Might just sneak in.
Might just sneak in.
Anyway, he was a commanding presence, and they needed it, and it was early. It was in the first half that it is damage. They punched the Tigers in the face and made sure that they weren't going to trip wire on that game.
That was a really organised professional performance.
Yeah, it was. And a big confidence, a timely confidence booster for Max King as well, booting 6, just
Yep.
sort of,
So
on
they
the
need
eve of
one
the
more?
finals. I think they need one more.
And they got Geelong this week at Marvel.
It's a tough.
and then
finish, I
at
think.
Brisbane to finish.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez, that's tough.
So you'd want to take
this
care.
is the one you got to get done.
You'd want to take care of the
And that would
Cats.
just about snuff out Geelong too, really.
Yeah, it's the
We'll
double
get-
swing.
we'll get to
And if
Geelong
they
in a minute.
don't, then they open the door.
All right.
So who would've been before
After
St
St
Kilda?
Kilda, we go back a fair while. We go to Melbourne,
Yeah, okay.
and
Tom Scully.
the year was 2009. So that would be Scully, I guess.
It'll be Tom Scully.
Is that right?
And
Yeah.
Jack Trengove.
Trengove
Turn
number
the
2.
club around.
Dusty Martin went 3.
Oh,
Jeez.
jeez.
Okay, who has got Melbourne?
Not me.
Melbourne is me. It's Clayton Oliver. I don't know how you come back from 12 weeks out and go 27, 10 clearances, 13 tackles,
Yeah.
400 plus.
Because
metres
he's
game.
Clayton
The
Oliver.
man
'cause he's
is a
Clayton
machine.
Oliver,
I'm not too worried about the result on the weekend. It's clearly a Brodie Grundy problem. Not to put too much on his shoulders, but my God.
Oh, look, I brought this up yesterday chatting to somebody, and they said, yeah, but the conditions weren't helpful for a big ruckman.
Yeah, and it was,
I was like,
but
yeah,
still,
To me, it's the chemistry thing, right?
hasn't been bad conditions all year.
Yeah, and I just don't. It's not about Brodie. It's actually not about
No.
Brodie. Because I think if he's playing
If he's a
as the
ruckman,
lead
he's
ruck,
great.
he's fine. Like, he'll go to a team next year, we think. and he'll play the lead ruck, and we'll be like, hey, Brody Grundy's still pretty good.
Because he's a ruck.
Right? But
Yeah.
but playing him in forward or playing him in this weird role, and then you marginalise Max, it just doesn't work.
Well, we saw it as
Doesn't
soon as he's
work.
out of the side, Max is a superstar again. And then he comes
Correct.
back in and everything's dull.
And Max just gets sort of back to being a regular human.
And if they can't
He's kryptonite.
figure it out
Brody
and
Grundy
make
is
this
Max
call,
kryptonite.
if they can't figure it out and make this call going into finals, they probably come to the end of the year and go, that was a waste.
Yeah.
Because they'll have to move him on. And they say, why did we do that?
I don't mind the roll of the dice. I
You
remember
try,
we were talking
but make
last
the
year at the end of
call-
the season, what are the most intriguing storylines, and that was number one.
Yes.
Now, had it worked, they look like geniuses.
Yeah, but the key is recognising when something doesn't work.
Yeah, but you
And
can't do
making a
that
hard
mid-season.
call.
It's hard to do that mid-season
Yeah,
because
but
you've got
can
to
do it at the
drop
end of the
Brody
season.
Grundy and it becomes a whole thing.
But it is good that they've had a look at it in round 22 to go because they had a look
Just
at what it looked like without
reaffirm-
him.
I see.
Now
here's-
they've had a look at
I
what it
think
looks
they
like
have to
with him.
persevere now.
Oh, so you think they're going to just play
I think
on?
they have to. I think they have to go, right, we either win with him or lose with him. We see how we go. And if they drop him
Yeah.
again, he is definitely going. Like, if
He
they
has to
think there's
go.
any
I
future
think,
here,
I think he goes. Before
if
the
there's
game.
any future, he has to stay in that team because they have to make it work. If he's going, which they probably already know if he is or isn't, then he'll get dropped.
Where's he going?
Well, Port Adelaide. We talked about this, Geelong, Port
Yeah.
Adelaide. They're the
Port
teams.
played a Sam Hayes that was at about 60% on
Correct.
Sunday.
They're the guys who need a ruck.
Yeah.
We're going to get to a situation where there's 8 clubs paying Brody Grundy's wage.
We're
Everyone pays an eighth.
jumping back now to Richmond in 2004.
At Richmond 2004.
Yes, I know the answer. Can you give it to me?
It would
Brett
be.
Deledio.
It wasn't Buddy.
Brett Deledio,
Yep,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
Brett Deledio, very good player. Okay, Richmond, go.
That is me. Just to kill him. I'm bored of Richmond.
I thought that was going to happen.
Pepper.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen.
Hey,
We could have talked about Jack Revolt.
Could have talked about Jack Revolt. They sit in the middle. It's all just. I think
Jack
we've talked
Revolt would've
about.
been-
We gave
kill.
one Jack his unstoppable respect, and then the other Jack, just bullied
We've
him.
talked about Jack
I feel like
Revolt
you've wasted
earlier.
the bullet. Jack Revolt was right there to be talked about.
Well, Jack Revolt's good and
No,
he's
it's fine.
Why do you hate Jack
Okay,
Revolt?
We're going
Talk
back
about when he
to
retires then.
Hawthorn now in 2001.
Oh, Luke Hodge.
Easy kill, Luke Hodge. Yes,
Good draft.
good draft, very good draft.
Who's
Super
got
draft. Some
Hawthorn?
call it the super draft.
Who's got
It
Hawthorn?
must be Nick.
I've got Hawthorn, and I probably shouldn't have killed that because I never actually got to Hawthorn.
Well, you
this is
could have done Jack Revolt.
this is a massive affirmation that they're on the right track.
So one player who was always good against Hawthorn, Jack Revolt. Let's talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
him.
let's talk about him. He's retiring now.
Unstoppable, you might say.
So that was the last few weeks have been unreal from Hawthorn, and he's given every tick to every decision they've made over the last few years, moving out the guys and paying part of their wage to bring the right people through. They go again. They probably, and I was shot down for saying this beforehand, but I think they're still a key forward short. Like I'm not chips in on the two names.
Yeah, you don't like
Mitch
Mitch
Lewis.
Lewis.
Oh, he's
and
fine
Kaczynski?
as a number 2.
Yeah,
And Kaczynski is a depth.
but they've still got time to get one.
They do, and that's what I wonder if
Yeah.
there's somewhere around that mark in this draft, and
Yeah.
whether they now have enough talent that first pick, because there's always, when you're rebuilding, at least your first 2 or 3 drafts, top pick, just get talent, don't worry about position.
Yeah.
But then once you have a bit of a bank, you can start to look a bit more at position.
Yeah.
So Fremantle with Jai Amos,
Yeah.
just jumped on him because they needed a key forward.
Yeah, we need to get this guy now.
That paid
Yeah.
off for them, obviously. So I wonder whether there's somewhere around that mark. It's going to be tough, though, this year because a lot of the tools are already linked to Gold Coast through academy systems and everything else. But I just wonder whether this is like, and GWS Cadman last year, whether that's the position they need to shore up. Well, they did send Granger Barras forward in the 2s, and I think he kicked 4 goals or something like that. I don't think that's a long-term play.
I'm
but
disappointed about the Granger Brass thing. I
Doesn't
think they've
come
really
on.
stuffed that. It was the wrong pick. They like
Pick 6 or something?
well, the difficulty is Granger Barras, whatever you
Barras?
had. I think it's Barras with him. It's Barras with Tom. To have a guy who, as a junior, his number one strength was what?
Yeah, cutting off third man up.
Intercept
in
marking.
defence.
And just so happens that Hawthorn's best player, James Sicily,
Does that.
So you're drafting a guy who you know you cannot play in the position of strength. You have to change him. Don't use a pick that high. What was it, pick 6?
Yeah,
I think
pick
it
6 or
was
something.
6,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, why use a pick that high when you could just draft a different player? Because you know you cannot play him with Sicily. You can't.
Well,
They're
they
the
obviously
same
thought
guy.
he was the most talented there, but that was when they were going for the talent rather than the
It's just,
position.
Yeah,
it's a
or
bad.
they weren't quite sold on that's what Sicily is. At this
Probably
point.
had,
But
but
I
they were
think they
playing
probably should have by
forward
then.
for a long.
It's a
yeah.
bad list decision. It's a bad list decision.
Not ideal.
They haven't made too many bad ones, to be fair, but that is one.
So now we've done Carlton.
We go to Collingwood in 1999.
That was Josh
Josh Fraser, yeah.
Wow, we're getting back.
Yep.
We are getting back.
Starting to get to some old guys
All
now.
right, who's got the pies?
I have the Pies. So that's 2 out of their best 5 now who are down with injury and are going to be coming into finals cold.
He's talking Darcy Moore, Nick Dacos.
Darcy Moore and Nick Dacos. Would you agree they're best 5?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
Think so. I was just double checking.
Probably shorten that number, yeah.
Yeah, well, probably the best 3.
I think you can make it.
Well, there's got to be someone else.
DeGoey's in there.
DeGoey's in there.
Those are the 3.
Yeah.
You said in Collingwood's most 3 best players are those 3 guys.
Yeah, that's probably right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Scott Pendlebury.
Scott
Pendlebury's not retiring.
Josh Dacos is not yet. No.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Is it jumping at shadows to suggest that it'll be a bit of an adjustment if they're both coming in cold to the first week of finals, or we think they'll just be fine?
This is a great leveler for the comp because I think Collingwood were pulling away in a similar way to Geelong did last year, where we were like, "Are they the best?" Oh yeah, they're the best.
Yes,
and I think we were heading that way with Collingwood, and now you remove Moore for 2 weeks. He's going to come into that first final without being playing, and he's a very good player, so he'll figure it out.
Rushing back from a hammy is always
and then Dacos prelim, I think, is a scenario they're looking at now. They've got to get there first. It really opens them up, and they've got Brisbane this week.
Yeah, Brisbane Friday night at Marvel.
At Marvel,
and then Essendon.
Weird to have it at Marvel.
Yes,
I would have thought, and then Essendon, which they should win that one, but Essendon will have a lot to play for potentially. But yeah, it's opened them right up. It's opened the whole competition up. Are they the favourites for you still?
Yeah, they're still the favourites for me.
Yeah, I'm still happy with them as favourites. But you're right, they've got many more question marks.
But yeah, I thought they would run away.
Do you know?
But now I no longer think that.
Do you know what I'd love to see?
What's that?
Collingwood Carlton grand final.
Yes.
Don't think you're alone there.
Imagine.
I think league bosses would be...
Imagine. No, the league bosses, I think they actually prefer when there's an interstate.
Yeah, I'd like to
team.
Port Adelaide there.
Okay.
In terms of economy, like for Melbourne, it's good for the...
They've had plenty of that
teams
over the
flying
past
in.
15 years.
You get more of the country brought into it. But the old traditional Collingwood Carlton, whew, jeez.
Yeah.
It'd be a big week.
Okay, we are
Be
on
reading
to...
the news from the third level of the MCG that day.
Oh, yes, definitely. The West Coast Eagles in 1996.
Michael Gardner.
Michael Gardner.
S. Gardner. Is it S? Michael?
I think it was S.
It was Michael S. Gardner.
Yeah.
Know what the S stands for.
Yeah.
There you go. 1996.
So that's me. Shout out to Nick Naitanui, obviously, for one of the great careers. It got me posing the hypothetical in the group chat this morning. If you could take any player, any Eagles player across the course of history, you're coaching in one game, do or die game, and you can have one Eagles player at their peak.
At their peak.
At their peak.
And you're trying to win this game, and you go, hey,
Josh
I can
Hill.
have one Eagles player. Josh Hill from the
Give me that
2018
Derby game.
Who are you taking, and where is Nick Nat in that conversation?
I think I'm taking Prime Judd.
I landed on either Prime Judd or Prime Cox.
I
with Nick on that
am
next
also
run.
thinking Josh Kennedy.
Yeah, but you got to have someone to kick it to him. Like what? If
Just get it. Like, you surely get some spuds. They can win the ball.
yeah,
and
I'm
just
not
get
taking
it
a forward. I'm taking a midfield guy. I think, and it's either Nick or Judd. I think.
Or Cox.
Well, I think.
So, like, go over the situation
Cox is
again.
a
You
fantastic player.
get to pick one player.
Yeah, you have
What
a team
are the
around
rest
him,
of the players
obviously.
like?
Well, it's just a team.
They're all 50-50 standard players.
No, well, it's just a good team.
I'll take Josh Kennedy.
Okay.
I'm taking Prime.
They
Judd.
can get him supply.
I'm taking Prime Judd.
This is what I feel. And this is that argument about, like, if someone gets 30, someone else can get 30 in the middle. But if someone kicks 10,
yeah,
the other person doesn't always kick 10.
But
Judd might
30
do both
or-
of those things.
Judd might do both of those things. Yeah,
Judd could do
this is
30
true.
and 4.
Yeah.
Judd's 30
Yeah.
are a little bit different than some 30s.
Last week when I was looking at a column where I was going to do the Eagles' best team because of the retirements, and I did
Best of all time?
Yep, I jotted one down, and I have Nick in the team. I have him on the bench.
Yes.
So I had Cox as the lead ruck, obviously, and I might do this at some point, maybe this week. But Nick definitely on the bench. I think it's 213 games, but I think the influence is just off the charts.
Yeah.
There's not many players around that could have 7 or 8 touches and be the best player on the ground. He was one of those. Someone else replied to me today and said, "What about Cyril?" I'm like, "Yeah, Cyril's in that chat too. Like, he's not alone, but he didn't need a lot of the footy. He's remarkable.
And
We'll never see another Nick Nat. Luke Jackson has some Nick Nat traits, but not the whole package.
If there was ever
the marketing, the everything that came with it, and his off-field personality, everything.
Yep.
So this is another point to my, if there's ever a day for Nick Naitanui to announce that he was hanging up the boots, it was the day after 2 days after a 100-plus point Derby loss, the 5th 100-point plus loss of the season.
We are running out of teams who have actually made a number 1 pick. Fremantle is next. That would be 1995, the one, the only
Clive.
Clive Waterhouse.
Clive Waterhouse. I've got the Fremantle
you got
Dockers. Let me find my little
done?
notes
Yes.
on these guys here. Let me just turn this page. Matty Johnson, a little unlucky not to get the
Very
rising
unlucky.
star.
Yeah,
Very
it's always,
unlucky.
I know the Freo fans, it's always something.
Is
like,
it?
And this was it. It was like
Is it?
Elijah Hewitt getting the West Coast getting
How
the
does
nod.
that happen?
don't know.
Elijah Hewitt looks fantastic, by the way. I think he's going to be a star.
Yeah.
I also think Matt Johnson is going to be a star.
I think
Yeah.
Matt
And
Johnson's had a more consistent impact across
He
the
has.
season.
Because
Mm.
clearly this was a body of work deal, right? Hey,
Definitely.
guys, we need to get... I reckon they forgot that they haven't given Matt Johnson a nomination. I
Nah.
actually reckon that's what's happened
I
here.
think
make a
there's
case
also
for
an
that.
element of like the really bad teams get a couple like to
Yeah, but-
keep them going.
This is...
But
he's
yes,
got-
I agree.
So he
Matt
had
Johnson needs to get
21. He had
nomination.
9 marks, 5 tackles and a goal. I don't know, it was a
Keep the
blowout.
goal for 55.
Yeah. There's no way you could look at those 2 games and say that Elijah had a bigger influence on that game
No.
than Matt Johnson.
And we love Elijah Hewitt.
100%.
Love the legs for a
I am all
stoppage.
in on Elijah Hewitt. I think he's
Yeah.
going to be a star. I also think Matt Johnson's going to be a star, and he's been better this season. He's played more games.
Yep.
He's had other games where you thought, oh, maybe this week for Matt Johnson. Hasn't got it. I can't understand
And
this.
Matt Johnson's team won by 100 points.
They won
Yeah,
by
and
100
Elijah Hewitt's
points.
team lost by 100 points.
It doesn't make any sense. I reckon, they'll never admit it. I reckon this was a
forgot?
mistake. They forgot about Matt Johnson. They forgot.
See, I think the scoreline
We
plays
won't.
a part. I think they go, if they lost by 100 points, give it to him.
You think
Give
it's
him-
a you
give
think
him
it's
something. I
a
think
it's
that's
a
part of it.
pity nomination.
I think it's part of it is the pity for the
It's
fan, not for Elijah Hewitt, for the fan base.
It's an Eagles
To try
pity
and keep-
nomination.
Like the fans engaged to be like, just give him something.
Oh, I don't think you'd want a pity nomination.
So they've got 2 weeks to make this
still-
right.
Yeah, no, I still didn't earn it ahead of
this
other
is
people.
where they're
yeah.
going to make them. Like you watch, Matt Johnson will have 3 touches on the weekend and get a nomination.
Yes, yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
They need to make that up. Unbelievable. Quick shout out to Sam Sturt, 4 goals again. He's a player now. Sam Sturt's a player now. They've
No,
got
so
another
learn
one.
how to chase and tackle, and now
Well,
he's a good player.
He was one of the ones at the start of the year where we were like, oh, is he going to fall through the cracks? No. Got a new contract. Yeah, his trigger was only for 10 games.
Got the trigger off the shoulder.
Was that
10
it?
games was the trigger.
So they obviously thought they wanted to give him motivation.
And
to-
that was a low trigger.
Yeah.
Yep. The Sydney Swans back in 1993.
1993, Sydney.
I feel like this is this
Is it
Dunkley?
Jude?
Was he a number 1 draft pick?
Andrew Dunkley.
Was he?
I feel like he got drafted earlier than that, didn't he?
Well, let's have a look. In
Yeah, but the draft was a mess
1993,
then. It wasn't necessarily
AFL draft.
kids.
West Australian boy.
Ben,
Out of the WAFL, South Fremantle, defender, became a pretty good player. Darren Gasper.
Darren Casper.
Darren
Righto.
Gasper.
We're into some rare territory
Nigel
now.
Lappin was pick 2. Justin Murphy was pick 3
That was a. So where do you count the draft being legitimate?
after this.
yeah, I think, yeah.
Brad
These were about like
Johnson, pick 11.
95.
Chris Scott, pick 12. Adam Simpson, pick 14.
What was
This
the
was a
year
loaded
after
draft.
Clive?
Big Phrase, pick 16.
Oh, really?
Big Phrase.
Decent
Gary,
value.
pick 16.
Decent
Simon
value.
Beaumont.
Play him anyway.
I'm running out of names now. pretty
Yeah.
ugly
Okay,
from
Sydney. Who's got Sydney?
It's not
That's me. So there's a top 8. Yeah, we're talking about top 8 side Sydney, who, again, similar to Carlton, a month ago, this looked like it was done and dusted. They're
David
sitting
King,
7th.
pick 46. Simon Garlick, pick 49. Then I'll stop now.
Well, see, this is a. Then we should go through some of those drafts and say who do you actually draft? 3 of them. So they are still a long way off securing a top 8 side, top 8 spot.
Paying $1.45 to make it.
To secure a top 8 spot.
Really?
Yep.
See, I did the ladder predictor and I had it pretty much on the favourites and they were out. And funnily enough,
Is that
Adelaide were
right?
in.
Yeah, but you've got them losing to Adelaide then.
Yeah, I've got
'Cause
them
this
losing to
game
Adelaide.
makes
This is
all the
probably what it
difference.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they. Well,
And
it's
then who do they have
It's
in the
at
last
Adelaide
round?
Oval. The last round they have.
Must
It's
be
kind of
someone easy
if
at
they
home.
lose to Adelaide and Adelaide jump them, it's kind of a
Yeah, it's at Adelaide
foregone
Oval.
conclusion.
The Crows are a far better team there. Rankin's back this week by the
they
sounds
got
of it.
Melbourne in the last round at the SCG.
Yeah, that's a tough draw. I'm
Jeez,
surprised they're that
$1.45 's a little
short.
bit
Yeah,
short, isn't it?
What are they paying to miss the 8, Robbo? Let's have a look at that.
So this is and funnily enough, this is like the premiership market. So it was Collingwood,
$2.75.
at the top
Gamble
at
responsibly.
$3.50, and then Brisbane at $6, Port at $5.50, Melbourne at $5, Carlton at $6, and then the 6th place side is paying $51. It jumps. There's like this group of 5 teams who they think can win it, and then everything else is like 50, 60.
Yeah, right.
So that's St Kilda 51, Sydney 41, Bulldogs 34. Funnily enough, Geelong in 11th, $18. You just don't write off Geelong. But again, it's not gonna. They're not gonna make it. I don't think.
Well, it comes down to
It
this
comes
game.
out of this game.
Yeah, because but I mean, Melbourne's not an easy game either.
No.
But I think if they lose this one, it's going to be pretty tough. Pretty tough to win.
And this
Where's
is why
that last
Adelaide's
game?
still
Is that
alive.
at the SCG?
That's at the SCG.
Yeah, okay.
And this is like as a counter to this.
Is Brody Grundy playing in that game or not?
Well, that depends. He might be dropped by that stage.
It depends.
So who have Adelaide got? Not to make this an Adelaide one. And then Adelaide got the Eagles. In the last round.
Sydney
Adelaide, if they
Eagles.
win this, if they win this weekend, they probably play finals.
Well, I'm going to quickly look this
Which
up.
will go some way towards winning back the hearts and minds of people who we told Adelaide were going to make top 4.
The 1990 AFL draft.
Oh, God.
Pick 1 went to the Geelong Cats. If you can get this one, you win a big prize. He played 21 games with this team, and he's from Tasmania.
Where did he go after?
That's a great question.
Tasmania.
Let me have a quick.
Back to Tasmania. No one's ever seen him since.
Also played for East Perth as well. Only played 21 games. Was in the AFL for 2 years. Didn't kick a goal. Made his debut against St
We're not
Kilda in
gonna get this.
1991. His name is Stephen Hooper.
Hoops.
Hoops. Well done.
Other notable picks from this draft: Jason McCartney, pick 4. Alan Jakovic
Oh,
went at pick, I think that's 6. That's right. Damien Hampson, head of sales here at Channel
Yeah.
7. He went at pick 7.
That's
was he
appropriate.
top 10
Carlton?
pick, Damo? He did
He
pick
was a
7.
top 10 pick.
7.
Yeah, there you go. And after that, it gets pretty lean
We used to
down
have
the
that
bottom
competition called pick 7.
here.
We did. That was enjoyable.
Which team is
Anyway,
this?
who's doing
This is
Geelong?
Geelong. Who's got
yeah,
Geelong?
Okay. There's not a lot down the bottom of this draft, by the way. Okay, Geelong, that's me. St Kilda and the Western Bulldogs to come. How do we feel
Yes.
about
Was
Geelong's
that the draft
chances?
where Eagles drafted Tim Watson? Was it Eagles
No, I think
who
that was
drafted Tim Watson?
92.
Okay.
I think
Was that the Dean
92.
Kemp one where they got him at like pick 89
No, I think that was
or
89.
something?
Yeah.
Or
Willie
pick
Rioli
92 or something like
Senior
that.
went in this
There you
draft.
go.
Pick 48.
Geelong, when's Tom Hawkins back?
It sounds like this week.
Okay.
So you
because
think that
makes
fixes
a
everything?
giant difference. It doesn't fix everything, but it gives you a puncher's chance. Like,
It does. But they might miss this. If
Yeah.
they miss the 8, is it a complete disaster?
So they've got St
Or
Kilda
do you think it doesn't
and then
matter
Western
because they
Bulldogs.
won the flag last year and they're an old team?
I don't
and
think it
they
doesn't
kind of-
matter.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's both. It doesn't matter because you win a flag and then you can do whatever you like the Bulldogs a little bit, but also for the squad that they have, the home ground advantage they have, the structure that they have in place. Are they really not in the best 8 teams in this comp?
It's
really?
a poor performance for them not to make the 8 with that list. You're
Yeah.
right, and
And
they have had some
Cameron's
injuries.
start.
Cameron's been pretty good.
He's
He
been
had that
7 goals
patch
on the
where he
weekend.
missed. Mitch Duncan missed a lot at the start, didn't he? And then he came in.
Yeah, but again, we can't rely on a Mitch Duncan. He's 32.
Yeah, Cam Guthrie's missed a
Guthrie's
fair
been
bit of footy.
30
underrated. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
expected a
And
bit
now
more
Blake
from
Subs.
those fresh faces. So Tanner Bruhn, Jack
They're babies
Bowes.
though.
But those guys aren't babies.
Well, Bose isn't a baby.
And
Tanner
Tanner
Bruhn's
Bruhn
a
as well.
baby.
Like
Ollie Henry's a
third year?
baby. Yeah, but they're still little. They're still kids.
Yeah, but I expected a little bit more from them. So it'll be 3rd or 4th years when you make a bit of
Yeah.
a jump.
Yeah, they're an
and
in-between side at the moment.
It probably does, and those retirements are probably good for them in the long term because then Bruhn and those guys get better looks. And the top 10 pick who didn't really play much, Clark.
Yep, Jai Clark.
Jai Clark.
As soon as you planted O'Sheen Mullen in the coach's
Mate,
minds,
he couldn't resist him. He didn't
They
get enough
couldn't.
games. This is why they're not a top 8 side. You see how long his hair was when it came out of his
quite
bun?
long.
It was
It's really
like,
long.
Really long.
When he
Yeah.
unfilled it.
Yeah.
I wish I
Can
had
we-
hair.
This is
I
why
could
we-
We
unfill
should
like
have
that.
saved the bullet for Geelong.
Well, but then
Have they been the most
mention
bulleted team
O'Sheen.
this year?
No, there've been others. North Melbourne probably
Right
gets
up
it.
there.
North Melbourne, who we extended today.
Okay, there are 2 teams who have never made a number 1 pick
Correct.
in their history.
I've got them both, and they're both in the same town.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah.
Port Adelaide and Adelaide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Neither of them have ever made a number
They
1 pick.
Stole a number 1 pick from North Melbourne. Jason Horn-Francis.
That's true.
Not
And
stole.
then it won't be happening again this year, clearly. Probably
No.
not for a while.
No.
No.
We'll do
So what's
Port
the closest?
Adelaide.
What's Port Adelaide's highest pick? So Adelaide would be 2 with Thriller.
Franco was a high
Port's
pick,
had a
wasn't
number
he?
2 there
I feel
somewhere.
like Josh Franco was a pretty high pick. It's very hard for me to look that up really quickly within 2 minutes. So let's
okay,
move
go,
on.
Question without notice.
Port Adelaide.
So Port is made. So bit of confidence restored after their 3 or 4 week patch where we were kind of like, "Ooh, what is happening to Port here?" One guy who feels strange to talk about as someone who needed to get back into a bit of touch and can potentially be an X factor, given he won a Brownlow 20 months ago,
Oh, yeah.
is Ollie Wines, who had a really good game, 29 touches, kicked a goal, had 6 clearances, kind of got back a bit to the Ollie Wines that we saw in 2021 lots and lots of times. So we know that Butters and Rosie are going to do their thing, and then
Yep.
Horn Francis looks fit again and looks really, really damaging. If Wines can be that fourth banana, third or fourth banana in the midfield, they go real deep through there.
The drop-off's been really quick, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
You said, 20 months ago when
Yeah.
Brownlow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the
No.
that wasn't a best player in the competition. Brownlow.
It's a great
if we
year.
could say that it was a great year. Brownlow. It was a Woden sort of.
Yeah,
level,
maybe not
slightly
to that
above.
level, but yeah, I know what
Like,
you mean.
It was like, I
Like a
could
Pritis
see him
Brownlow,
winning, but you're not
yeah.
like a Pritis probably the best
Yeah.
comparison actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like, oh yeah,
But I don't think any of us saw that year and then went, oh, no,
He's gonna drop
he's
off
going to
face,
fall
yeah,
out of
yeah.
the most important
No.
like,
was that his
7 or
water
8
ski
players
year?
after that.
Or was that the year
Nah,
before?
the year before was the water ski.
He
year.
needs to do something like
The
that
water
again.
ski,
Break,
yeah.
break the pattern.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they come to WA this week, so they play Freo and then they have Richmond at home. So you'd expect them to win both of those. Mind you, Freo could give them a shake here this week.
Hey,
Think I'm
Port
tipping
Adelaide.
Fremantle.
The Port Adelaide supporter who sits across from me, Jake Colvin, very
Yes,
nervous.
shout out to Coles.
Very nervous.
Oh, he's been all over the
But
show.
he's always nervous.
But one of
Yeah.
the main reasons is Luke Jackson could do unspeakable things to Port
Yes.
with a 60% fit Sam Hayes in the ruck.
Yeah.
They ever
Could
tagged
get
a ruckman?
messy.
Just send someone as a ruck tag.
Just tag
Someone
Luke
Can you
small.
tag
Jackson.
him?
Pow
Yeah.
Pow
I don't-
Pepper just follows him.
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, I was gonna say who's going to keep
Willem
up with
Drew.
him?
Yeah, this
Good
is
luck.
true.
Willem Drew just have to hang off his back and hope. Like it's
Yeah.
He's
Now Luke Jackson is playing some ridiculous footy.
Freo,
at
the
moment.
team you don't want to play right now if you're a finals contender because they still
They're
want to
good.
win.
Yeah.
Free
Like
hit.
they're playing
Last
really
home
well.
game.
They got no number one pick, so they're like first round pick. So they're like, we're going to try anyway.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't
They're
matter
not
to us.
conceding wins to finish with a higher pick. So they're a danger team. And they've got, who is it? They've got, obviously, Port Adelaide, and then they finish with
Tigers.
Finish with
Hawthorn.
Hawks.
Hawthorn. So it doesn't
No,
matter.
Hawks,
we're
isn't
talking
it?
about Freo.
Oh, Freo,
Freo.
sorry. Right.
Okay, and the last team is the Adelaide Crows.
Adelaide is also me. So, gosh, this is just, I mean, they could still make it, as we discussed, but
No,
this is a,
if all the favourites win, they're in.
well, they're
I'm just saying
paying, they're
this, just
paying
wanna throw this out.
$2.25. So I'm tipping my cap to the bookies here.
Yeah, but Sydney, what's Sydney paying $1.40 and they're about to
$1.45.
get pumped out by Adelaide. and
Those
Melbourne.
Okay,
odds
we'll see
will
in-
shift significantly
we'll see in-
if Adelaide beats Sydney. Like that will completely
Yes.
flip.
Yeah,
and
we'll
they've
see.
got the West Coast Eagles in the
What
last
time's
round.
this?
They
Yeah,
do.
see, that's the trump card here. If
Yeah.
it comes down to percentage,
But they've
They
got
get-
that is Shannon Hearn and Shuey's last game. I would expect West Coast to not.
do you remember
let it
Andrew
flog by
Embley's last
120.
game?
I don't.
Yes.
They got absolutely pumped. It was so depressing.
And that was
like-
Adelaide as well.
Yeah, there was Adelaide as well.
Adelaide
that was
have
at
a-
Subiaco.
Adelaide have a habit of the farewell games. They had JK last year, did
Yeah.
Embley, and now they're doing this one.
There's a question of like you can live for the occasion, but there's still a question of ability.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
That's true.
4 of Adelaide's losses this year to top 4 teams. Lost by a point to Collingwood, lost by 2 points to Collingwood, lost by 4 points to Melbourne, and this week lost by 6 points to Brisbane. So
worry
they have
about
been
the Crows.
so close. If you just go 2-2 through those games,
Yeah.
and they probably should have on the balance of all things being equal, especially those Collingwood games where they threw away a lead. Instead of being, what are they right now? Instead of being at 50-50, they're kind of 12-9,
What
and
time
they're
is this game?
Well, they're
thinking
probably
of
they're
them
sitting
very
sixth,
differently.
basically,
I'm putting
with
this-
2
Yeah.
wins, and if they win 3 of them, then they're
All right,
in
I'm going to put this in the
fifth.
diary and sit down and watch this one.
Adelaide,
Adelaide,
Sydney.
Sydney.
This
All
is,
aboard.
this is your one game of the week.
This is my game of the week. Yeah, yeah.
And then next week
And
he
then
doesn't get Adelaide. or
Fremantle,
Sydney.
Port Adelaide. I won't. Well, I'll
We
do the
know
order
whose
so-
teams he's giving himself
Yeah,
next
Adelaide
week.
and Sydney. It seems to go like one each in the order of the
You've got
ladder, and then
Adelaide,
there's just this
Sydney.
deviation.
Adelaide, Sydney, then he'll pick a team that he can bullet. So there's 3. And he's already halfway there.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's just go the ladder. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
So
1,
do
2,
we
3.
like we
We'll
like
just change
the
those.
order
I
there
enjoyed
from
the order from Tomo.
I
That
love
was
that.
good.
I do like the
Nice
order
and
from
simple.
Tomo.
You can guess it. But
Yeah.
also, yeah,
enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
some of the others have been
a bit hard.
a little bit hard.
A little bit hard. But you know,
We
appreciate
welcome
all
it.
the
We
help.
embrace
Good.
it.
We do.
And someone
Welcome
hit us
all
up for
feedback.
next week.
Yep.
This segment has lost a bit of momentum
Oh,
as the year's
I
gone on,
don't
but let's
even-
do it. Let's just roll it out one more time.
Interest in this section. Yeah.
Just throw it out.
Jeez, what an intro.
Yeah.
It's got a great sting.
What a way to keep the
Yeah,
listeners
keep
going
going. I
at
don't
the
reckon
45
this is going to
minute
make
mark.
it back next season.
He might not get a nod. Well, I'll go Jason Horn-Francis as my man for the week.
Sure.
Because why not? And I'll throw Did Jared Berry play?
Rhino's halfway out the door.
Jared
Oh,
Berry's
it's
always
so hot
Jared
in here.
Berry's always
Just
in
stay.
It's like
conversation.
100
Someone.
degrees in this
He
studio.
probably didn't play, but he's in my side.
How have you not taken your jacket off by now?
I just
Yeah, it's the first time he
Hey,
wore a jacket.
have
in a
you
long
got to
time.
the point where
Jared Berry?
if you're too hot wearing the jacket,
Yeah, I've
you
got to
can't
that.
take it
No,
off
I've got to
because
that
you're
point.
too sweaty under
Yeah,
there?
there's probably sweat patches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you've
Um,
crossed that threshold.
I would say my man is Tom Green. I'll take Tom,
Tom
Green
Green,
back,
nice,
and I
Tom
will
Green,
put
Tom
Luke Jackson in the backup.
It's going very, very
Fantastic
well.
play.
I'll take Jai Newcomb for Zave because I know he has a soft spot for
You're
Hawthorn.
only
I
allowed
think he
to pick
might
one.
Well,
have.
and your backup's Mitch Lewis.
No. No, I was going to give a shout out to Josh Dacos, who got
yeah.
to prove that he can do it without his brother feeding him the ball
Yeah.
6 or 7 times. He was terrific
He
on
was
Friday.
excellent.
Yeah.
This is true.
Great.
I really liked it. It was one of my favourite. I don't think it was this season. It might have been last when Paps worked in a Tom Green show reference when Tom Green kicked the goal.
Oh, yeah. It's the
Oh,
Tom
yeah.
Green
yeah,
show.
Yeah, that's
I think
right.
he
Last
kicked
year.
a
Not
goal.
the Green Tom show. He's not Green Tom. It's the Tom Green show.
Outstanding.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
Outstanding.
This has been the Hardball Gets AFL show, proudly brought to you by the Mazda BT50. You do Ute. We'll see you next time.